Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. The headlines tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
National Identification Authority assures staff their concerns remain a top priority as union suspends strike.
Also coming up, health experts raise alarm as hypertension increasingly affects young Ghanaians, posing long-term national health risks.
Still in health, Princess Marie Louis Children's Hospital struggling to deliver care due to deterioration conditions.
And on the international news, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni confirms he will contest next year's presidential election, setting the stage for a potential extension of his nearly 40-year rule. We always love to hear from you on the many stories we have for you tonight, so do let your comments come in.
Workers under the Divisional Executive Council of the Public Services Workers Union at the National Identification Authority are expected to return to work on Monday, June 30, 2025. This follows the union's suspension of its indefinite strike. Judith Brown reports.
On Tuesday, June 24, 2025, the Divisional Executive Council of the Public Service Workers Union, PSWU, of the National Identification Authority declared an indefinite strike. The strike, the union says, was over the Ministry of Finance's failure to provide a definitive commitment or timeline regarding the payment of the operational support allowance. But on Friday, June 27, the National Labour Commission, NLC, ruled that the ongoing strike by the workers of the National Identification Authority, NIA, was procedurally flawed. Divisional Chairman of the Public Services Workers Union at the National Identification Authority, Francis Bankfudeme, says the union has now reached an agreement with management, hence the suspension of the strike.
We have been able to secure some levels of agreement with management where we have an agreed upon roadmap in ensuring that the 20% allowance, which is not in doubt or in contention, is paid within a given period of time.
He further says there's now a roadmap for the payment of allowances.
We have a roadmap to ensure the smooth payment of that allowance, and we are satisfied with that map. We are only looking forward to its enforcement. And for now, we think that there is no need for us to continue staying in home. Let's look forward to the coming days and see that how the payments are going to be affected.
Workers at the NIA are expected back at work on Monday, June 30, 2025. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Meanwhile, the National Identification Authority has expressed appreciation for the goodwill shown by the union in suspending their strike. Management assures staff that their concerns remain a top priority. The authority is also calling on the public to visit its offices for any needed services and expresses regret for the inconvenience caused during the strike. The NIA has reiterated its commitment to providing reliable and efficient identification services to all Ghanaians.
Now let's take a trip to neighboring Togo, where the last few days have seen some unexpected violence on the streets of Togo. So what we do know is that violent scenes have erupted in Togo as thousands of citizens take to the streets demanding an end to almost 6 decades of rule by the Nyasingbe family. Protesters have been met with brute force from security forces. Here's a report by Stanley Niblo.
From the capital, Lome, to smaller towns across the country, chants of enough is enough fill the air. Protesters say they are fed up with the Nyasingbe family, which has ruled Togo for over 50 years. First under Eyadema Nasingbe, and now his son, Faure Nasingbe, who has been in power since 2005. But what started as a peaceful demonstration quickly turned violent. Heavily armed soldiers were deployed to break up gatherings, reportedly firing live rounds and using tear gas to disperse crowds. Several reports from Lome indicate that several protesters have been arrested, beaten or gone missing. Prior to the protest, there was internet shutdown and media suppression. Speaking on Weekend Central, member of the Togolese in the diaspora was blunt about the situation in Togo.
We are talking about democratic country. Togo is not a democratic country. How come a father will rule for 38 good years and the son also take over for 20 good years now? Can we call that country a democratic country? No. So to me personally, it doesn't have any legal right to be in the country. So to me, I think it's a time for the military to take over peacefully to avoid innocent people being killed on the streets.
Despite the unfolding crisis, regional bloc ECOWAS has remained silent. Observers say the lack of response from the regional bloc raises serious concerns about its commitment to democracy and human rights in the region.
The ECOWAS is looking more or less as a white elephant institution that is not, assuming their responsibility. So I'm now calling on the leaders of the ECOWAS to come in to solve the issue amicably. If that may not be the case, the youth will take on the streets and they are going to take the law into their hands, just like the way the military are taking the law into their hands. The military, that's their duty to come in to save the situation, but not to back the dynasty because they are being paid by the taxpayers' money. But after all,
protesters are vowing to continue the demonstration despite the crackdown. They say they will not stop until the current regime steps down and a new democratic order is established. As Togo teeters on the edge of deeper unrest, the international community, particularly ECOWAS, faces mounting pressure to step in. The coming days could prove pivotal in a country longing for change after decades of dynastic rule. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now engage the thoughts of an international relations expert, Professor Daniel Draman Kiposunyehi. He is with the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, LESIAD. Good evening, Prof, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, and special thanks to dear viewers and listeners.
Now, how significant are these protests in Togo, considering the fact that the protesters or the citizens believe that the current government or administration has been in power for way too long?
Yes, Togo case is quite pathetic. I think it's a very serious matter. For the reason that the Faure Nasingbe, surprisingly, somewhere last year, came out with a kind of reform in which he is trying to switch from presidential to some kind of parliamentary base that is also not parliamentary system also. And currently he occupied a place called President of the Council of Ministers. This is a very strange constitutional amendment, or it's a strange decision, which certainly shows that he's going to be in power maybe 6 years, and nobody knows how long he will remain in that seat. And that is very worrying. And I'm sure that is what have triggered this protest. The youth are thinking that the only way they will be able to change the system is through a protest. Unfortunately, the regime is not going to make it easy for them because of brute force. And that is why I said that the situation in Togo is quite pathetic. It's quite unfortunate.
We cannot describe Togo as a democracy, can we? If you've had one family rule for almost 60 years, would you say that's part of what you define as democracy?
Well, they may say Togo is democratic as a family system. That possibly could be the description. But Togo is not a multi-democratic state. Multi-democracy is not the case because virtually all the parties that are there have been reduced to nothing. Because it is only one party that is ruling, it's only one party that has the power to win. And even the manner in which things are done, parliamentary elections have all been skewed towards the same party that is just along a family line. So certainly, if one would say Togo, it only has a system of election, but it's certainly not a multi-democratic state. And democracy itself will even be a mockery because of what is going on in Togo. It really be a mockery of democracy, but certainly cannot be a democratic state as it is now.
How concerned should Ghana be, considering the fact that we share a border with them and we have relatives from Ghana who live in Togo, vice versa, and we do business with them across the border? So when there are these kinds of disturbances, what should Ghana be thinking at this moment?
I think one of the points that Ghana is just that ECOWAS sometimes they like invoking their principle not to interfere in internal affairs of member states. But I think that it should be a point where Ghana, through the Minister of Foreign Affairs, they possibly could call for some emergency meeting of ECOWAS, heads of government, ECOWAS ministerial, could be ministerial or head of state, to issue a statement, intervene, get in there, meet the youth group, meet civil society groups, and the two major political party, opposition parties. Talk to them, because that should be the way. It's better than Ghana remaining silent. And by the time we realize that this protest turned into violence, it could end up becoming a civil kind of thing, which we don't really hope for. But Ghana could take a smart way of what we call a smart democracy, a very smart way of using ECOWAS as a way of getting a solution to it. I think it is better for us to act than to be quiet. ECOWAS is quiet, Ghana is quiet. That is not the best, because the conflict in Togo will certainly affect Ghana because of refugee. And that is going to bring cost to us. So the earlier we are able to intervene indirectly or directly, certainly through ECOWAS, then better for Ghana.
Right.
I think it's better Ghana speak.
And finally, before you take leave of us, Prof, many have accused ECOWAS of almost always sitting aloof for the situation to degenerate into, something very hard to salvage before they either issue a statement or start calling for meetings. Do you think 3 days on that this demonstration is going on in Togo, is ECOWAS late in the day in even speaking about it?
I think it's not late. ECOWAS certainly could have even acted even before 26th. Maybe Wednesday could have taken it instead of waiting for the protest day on Thursday. But they always say that better late than never. I think it's still appropriate if ECOWAS ministers or heads of state, I think it's appropriate they meet, get in, get involved, let's solve it. This is how it happened in Burkina, and ECOWAS was quiet before we realized the worst thing has happened. The same in Niger and Mali. So Togo, we are afraid if we are not able to act right. Before we realize Togo might also be heading towards becoming a member of the alliance of the Sahel states, and that is something else. And I think it is better. Ghana is in a better position to play an indirect role in resolving the political crisis in Togo. And this is the time for government to work through their members in ECOWAS, call for emergency meeting, find solution to the crisis there. I think it's better to act than to be quiet.
Prof, thank you so much for your thoughts on this very sensitive subject. Professor Kipo Sunyehi is with Lesiad.
And now to some politics back here in Ghana, facing internal uncertainty after its December 7, 2024 election defeat, the New Patriotic Party is regrouping ahead of the 2028 general elections. The party has scheduled a presidential primary for January 2026. The race to find a unifying leader is gaining momentum. There's more in this report.
Following its defeat in the December 7, 2024 elections, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, is now at a crossroads. With the next general election still 3.5 years away, the NPP is struggling to find its footing and reconnect with the base it lost in the 2024 polls. As part of preparations for the next elections in 2028, the National Executive Committee (NEC) met on Tuesday, June 17, 2025, and announced Saturday, January 31, 2026, as the date for its presidential primary to elect a flag bearer for the 2028 elections. So far, 4 individuals have announced their intention to seek the mandate of delegates to lead the NPP. They include former Vice President and 2024 presidential candidate Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and 2024 flag bearer aspirant and former MP for Asen Central, Kennedy Japan. The others are former Education Minister and Member of Parliament for Bosumtwe, Dr. Ya Osei Educhim, and former Agriculture Minister and MP for Abetifi, Brian Ichampon. Former President John Ejikum Kufuor has urged the party to present a candidate who will be acceptable to all Ghanaians.
One man, one vote. And if we want power, we want to present a person who would be convincing to the generality of the electorate. Can this man we are presenting help solve problems for the community at large, so the benefit spreads across the board for all? We look at that this way if we tell the truth to ourselves.
He also called for an end to tribalism and divisiveness within the party.
We may see that the way we've been brushed by our opponents from way back. Oh, you are a tribal party. Oh, these days we are including even religion. You do that, and it comes from our mouths, then I tell you, we are perpetuating if we do not change our minds and do not think critically, and then seek solutions through hard thinking. I'm telling you, touch wood, look, we wouldn't be the first party that went out of.
A former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansah Asare, believes the opposition MPP currently lacks a leader capable of taking charge of party affairs.
The regret of the MPP today is that they have no leader. It's just a chairman, who now claims, to be indisposed. It's not been effective, as it were. The likes of Darocha, Peter Lajete, Odoye Sykes, Haruna Seku, those, with authoritative voices, who could stamp the authority, on activities of the MPP. We no longer have, any such persons leading the party.
Kweku Ansah Asare has this advice for the MPP.
Unless and until, there's a return, to the good old days, when, there was a clear-cut leadership, and people knew what they were reasonably expected to do, the MPP, will continue, to sink into the, abyss, and, one day, there will be no MPP.
A former presidential aspirant for the MPP, Dr. Arthur Kobina Kennedy, has stated that the party lost the 2024 elections because it governed with what he described as recklessness, corruption, and impunity.
Our reforms should aim at bringing back home the Mahama voters. 20% of the Mahama's voters were MPP members who went to the polling booths and voted for him. Some couldn't bring themselves to vote for him, so they stayed at home. All those people must come back, and we are not entitled to their votes. We need to get them with good policies and good ideas.
Dr. Kennedy has proposed structural reforms for the party's primaries inspired by systems used in the US, UK, and Canada.
Let's now turn our attention to some health-related issues. And hypertension, also known as high blood pressure, once considered a disease of the elderly, is now increasingly affecting young people. This trend is alarming, and experts warn that if left unchecked, it could have severe consequences for the country's health and economy. Sarah Penkro has more in the following report.
Hypertension or high blood pressure remains a significant public health concern in Ghana, affecting roughly 1 in 4 adults. sedentary lifestyles, poor diets, and increasing stress levels are all contributing factors. Studies suggest with less than 35% of individuals aware of their condition, only about 22% of those diagnosed are receiving treatment. Gina is in her 30s and has been diagnosed with high blood pressure, but she has her own plans for treatment.
Somewhere around last year, November, one time I was there in the afternoon, I started feeling severe pain all over my body. Very severe headache. I realized I was getting weak. I started going to the pharmacy to check. Every time I check, it gets very high. Sometimes when I go, it's medium or it's low. I did that for almost 2 years and I realized it's not stable at all. So I had to go to the doctor. So he told me that he would like to put me on drug, and I said no. And that I would want to manage it myself because I wouldn't want to start dragging myself from now. Once it started becoming severe, I take anything like a paracetamol, I get okay. So there are other herbs I've been taught to be doing some minor teas I do in the morning and maybe before bed too. So
Gina tells me that knowing her triggers is her way of taking control of her health.
Checking it all the time, realizing it was not becoming stable worries me a lot. So for about 3, 4, 5 months now, I don't go checking. I don't want to put myself on the beat of a cold, so I stopped the checking and then I'm managing it, I'm okay. Even yesterday, I had some kind of headache, so I had to take some paracetamol and then go to bed and sleep early, and that was all. I'm getting used to the fact that it's becoming high and you have to go on the drug end. I don't want to continue with the thought, go and take the medicine, go and take the medicine.
It is a growing concern quietly creeping into the lives of Ghana's youth. Interestingly, many are unaware of their blood pressure status.
To check for BP, no.
Why?
Because I presume I'm okay.
Almost 15 years. I changed in hospital.
For 5 years.
Others, though aware of the consequences, remain unbothered.
I think the last time I checked was 2021, and it was normal. But ever since then, I've not been bothered to check my BP again.
That was last year, April. It was okay. Yeah, because my boss was admitted at UG Hospital, so I took opportunity to also check it.
The danger is that uncontrolled hypertension can lead to serious health complications, including heart disease, stroke, kidney damage, and death.
Among the youth, it is common, especially in the 30s, going to 40s, very common in that age group. And it's particularly more common in men. For everybody, a regular check is helpful, just to be sure that the BP is not going up, because it doesn't give any sign. But if you can live a healthy life, take a lot of fruits, rest when you should, take a lot of fluids, avoid abuse of pain medications, then your risk of getting hypertension is very low.
The economic burden of hypertension is also significant, which can undermine the country's development.
When you develop hypertension in pregnancy, you may be put on medication in the course of that pregnancy. That type of hypertension, when you give birth, can disappear completely. But you need to check, especially after 6 weeks of giving birth. Other than that, all other forms of hypertension, unless it is a secondary hypertension, the hypertension is due to some condition, and we have treated that condition, the hypertension has disappeared. But essential hypertension, which is that there is no known condition or cause to the hypertension, you will most likely be on medication for life. No one should ever stop a hypertension medicines without consultation. Even when you feel, some people look at how they feel a day, that when I take the medication, it's even making me worse. When I don't take it, I'm fine. I checked 2 days without taking the medication and it was low, and therefore I stop. No, that is dangerous.
Gina is just one of the country's many vibrant youth battling hypertension. It is very important to check your BP regularly and note your status. Sarah Apenkro, TV3 News, Accra.
Oh, sometimes stories like this get you to think twice about your life, right? Still on health, though, having a baby can be one of life's joyous moments. But for many new mothers, it can also come with unexpected changes, including forgetfulness. It is often brushed off as mommy brain, but postpartum forgetfulness is very real and can affect a mother's day-to-day life. Ayisha Yakubu brings us the rest of the story.
From misplaced keys to forgotten appointments, some new mothers find themselves in a mental fog after childbirth. Postpartum forgetfulness, often called mommy brain, describes the cloudy thinking and memory lapses some women experience, especially in the weeks and months after giving birth. For some mothers, it is not funny at all. It is real, frustrating, and sometimes even confusing.
It's so overwhelming sometimes because you feel like you're not even in this world anymore. Sometimes you feel like you're in a cage or something. I didn't used to forget things. I was very active. Sometimes I can make plans with my friends that like maybe we'll make a call, maybe go somewhere. And then I'll be like, I'll be available. But then when it's time, I always forget that we made a plan or something. I was like, is this going to be my life?
22-year-old Janna gave birth to her second child earlier this year. In addition to physical recovery and sleepless nights, the memory loss she experienced during her first pregnancy returned.
My friends, they realized I was very forgetful, and then sometimes they do blame me. Sometimes when I tell them like, I think this happened because I became a mother, they be like, I'm using it as an excuse. But it got to a time, they just realized that, I think this girl, she's really going through it. So that's why she's forgetful. And now they just cut me a slack.
Her story mirrors that of Fauzia, a mother of two, who has had her fair share of postpartum forgetfulness. Like some women, Fauzia has now gotten used to it. But the struggle was deeper than laziness or carelessness.
You've given birth, and all of a sudden, you tend to be forgetful. You'll be frustrated, and especially when you have people to answer to in terms of conversation. I can be chatting with you and say, hey, what were we even saying earlier? Or I can take something and then it might be here and then I don't remember. So you'll be frustrated, especially when it's something new and you're cautious of your thoughts and your engagements with people. I have 2 children now. It's just normal thing that I've come to accept.
Sleep deprivation, hormonal changes, and the sudden mental load of caring for a newborn all contribute to postpartum memory loss.
Truth be told, almost every newborn mother experiences it. Just that some go undiagnosed or undetected. Others to see it and take it lightly. What happens is that in the first 3 months, that's the 0 to 3rd month, that is its peak of it. So at that instance, that's very visible, it's very clear. And then it gradually diminishes or reduces as you progress. Some can last for 6 months, some 3 months, or even a year. But gradually it fades out, or you're able to overcome it with some helps and all that.
Studies show that grey matter in the brain changes during pregnancy and can remain altered for up to 2 years, especially in areas responsible for memory, emotional regulation, and social understanding. But recognizing it early, and most importantly, asking for help when needed, can make a big difference.
There are some steps that one can take to curb this, and one being that once it's kind of neurological, it stems in the brain. It's always important that you look at it from that tangent first. Eating well is very, 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 very keen. Then, finding time to sleep. One thing about newborn mothers is that they always prioritize their babies, especially when it comes to their sleep and feeding. And one important thing, it's not a one-man thing. Other than you doing everything by yourself, you could ask for help, because it's not easy being a mother, taking care of a family.
For mothers like Janna and Fauzia, understanding postpartum forgetfulness is the first step towards reclaiming mental clarity and reminding themselves that even in the confusion, they are doing just fine. From hormonal shifts to sleep deprivation and emotional stress, postpartum forgetfulness is a real experience and one that deserves compassion and support. Ayisha Yakubu, TV3 News. For over a century, Princess Marie Louis Hospital has provided dedicated pediatric care in the country. But now the hospital is struggling to continue its mission due to its deteriorating condition. My colleague Sarah Pencroft visited the hospital and filed this report.
This particular building is the first structure that was put up 100 years ago to offer services here at the Princess Marie Children's Hospital. It occupies the kitchen, the administrative area, as well as some wards currently.
The Princess Marie Louis Children's Hospital, also known as the Children's Hospital in Accra, has been a cornerstone of pediatric care in Ghana since its inception in 1926. Located in the heart of Accra's Central Business District, the hospital has been a beacon of hope for countless children and families. However, despite its rich history and long-standing dedication to child health care, the hospital's infrastructure has deteriorated significantly. Parts of the building, including the wards, have developed visible cracks with exposed iron rods on pillars, posing a threat to the safety of both staff and patients. The facility is yet to undergo any major renovation, despite its worsening condition.
And it's dangerous, and I'm afraid. If you go there, sometimes I get afraid, So we need urgent renovation on this hospital so that we can give better service. Because I'm just afraid anytime I go there and I see the condition, more has to be done to help this hospital to keep that standard of looking after our children.
In 2021, the government ordered a structural integrity test of the facility. However, hospital management says there has been no real commitment to addressing the facility's needs, despite a growing demand for its services.
As the hospital turns 100 years, it means that we have buildings on those hospital grounds that are about 100 years old. We have some that are over 70 years old. In fact, there's only one building in the hospital that I'm older than. And because of the infrastructure, it's affected the plumbing and the electrical system of the hospital.
100 years after its establishment, management is appealing to the general public to support the hospital's endowment fund to help meet urgent infrastructure and service needs.
We need about $7 million, to complete this building. Renovation is possible. It can be done. Where there's a will, there's a way.
To make it more child-friendly and to set up a lasting fund for the children, especially those who come in and are needy.
Calls are growing for the establishment of more children's hospitals across the country to reduce the burden on Princess Marie Louis Children's Hospital. The Children's Specialist Hospital at Weija, when commissioned, is expected to help ease pressure on the century-old facility.
There is need for government as well as corporate bodies to come on board and ensure the facility is in its best of state to offer the needed care for the children of this country. Sarah Apenkro, TV3 News, Princess Marie Children's Hospital, Accra.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. We have many more stories for you after the break. Welcome back to News 360 on TV3. As junior high school leavers across Ghana anxiously wait for placement of their results, senior high schools, many are finding ways to occupy their time and manage the uncertainty. A few students are taking the opportunity to help out with family businesses or learn new trades such as crafting, cooking, or programming. Others are developing valuable life skills and building their character. Here's a report by Erica Juma Kranchi.
With the basic education certificate examination now behind them, these students are in a state of limbo, eagerly waiting to know which senior high school they will be placed in. While some are using this period to relax and unwind after a rigorous examination process, others are productively engaging themselves in various activities. Some students are exploring courses or tutorials to gain new skills or knowledge in areas of interest.
I prefer going for classes because when you stay in the house, your mind becomes dull. So when you go for classes, your mind becomes sharp so that when you go to the SHS, whatever the teacher teaches, you will be able to answer the question he or she asked.
I want to go to class because I want to read ahead of my course that I'm going to do in SHS.
Every day I'll be going to school, wake up 4 o'clock and then I'll go to school. Nah, I don't see the need to just go to classes right now. Maybe I can go August, then September. When I get my results, then I'll just start school.
During we're going to write BC, we will be learning at dawn. So we need to sleep so that our brain will relax a little.
Meanwhile, some parents are opting to enroll their children in preparatory classes, while others are focusing on fostering creativity.
Not all parents have the means to sponsor their children in a pre-SHS class, hence they work. But when the means are available, it is better to enroll them in a preparatory class. My child will not just stay home. She will have to help me at work. If I have the available resources, I will enroll her in a preparatory class.
Despite the uncertainty surrounding their SHS placements, these students are making the most of their time and preparing themselves for the next chapter in their educational journey.
In a world weighed down by economic hardship and global anxiety, a new form of defiance is rising, one meme at a time. Asiedu reports that Ghana's Gen Z is turning humor into resistance, using memes not to escape reality, but to survive it.
The Israel-Iran war may seem distant, but for some young Ghanaians, the anxiety is real, from fears of global conflict to rising oil prices. And yet, this is how it often starts. One scroll, one meme, one breath of relief. In a chaotic world, Ghana's Gen Z is choosing laughter not out of ignorance, but as a way to survive. They have inherited a world of rising costs, mounting tensions, and collapsing certainty. But instead of retreating, they are responding with memes. Twitter influencer Accra Mayo shared what inspires his posts.
When I logged into the app, I saw people tweeting for fun. So I told myself I can do the same thing. I can do something similar to what they are doing and do it better. So that was how I started. Ghana actually has a little bit of, I don't know how to term it, but hardship. So we at Gen Z, as some of our elders would say, we actually not serious when it comes to those issues. So we actually create it for fun, so we can able to just get our mind out of those issues, just to help us move on in things.
From X to TikTok, young Ghanaians are transforming global fear into comic gold. But it is not just for likes, it is a coping mechanism.
The youth value social justice and they value their mental health. And so any one of them they think is not being or haven't been treated fairly or has experienced some injustice, they will fight for the person. So because they value their mental health, they will not take and accept anything that would really stress them. And so they will look for ways to ease the stress. It is who they are. The thing that you consider very serious and you think is stressing you, they'll just make a fun out of it, just to lighten. It's a coping mechanism.
Even in their humor, their passion for justice shines through. Some use satire to call out inequality, climate crisis, and economic hardship without losing their spark. In a world constantly on edge, Ghana's Gen Z is rewriting the scripts, choosing laughter even in uncertainty.
To some other stories now, and micro, small and medium enterprises drive over 70% of Ghana's employment and plays a key role in economic growth. But for many entrepreneurs, the path to success is anything but easy. Safwa Boahene visited Osu in Accra and reports that some vendors are keeping their businesses going despite daily challenges.
In Ghana, MSMEs make up 92% of all businesses, contribute about 70% to GDP, and employ over 80% of workforce. But unlike their global counterparts, only a handful have rise to become large-scale enterprises. Many remain stuck in survival mode. On the streets of Osu, Linda, a 28-year-old entrepreneur, shares how her beading business has been faring even though it hasn't been easy. Sales have been slow, but running a business requires discipline. I sell beads and keep detailed records to track which ones sell and when, helping me restock wisely and manage costs.
Any amount I take record.
Other vendors also share in this perspective. I've been in this business for over 12 years. Although I struggled with management at first, I focused seriously on it for the past 5 years, and now it fully supports me.
The government should boost tourism initiatives like the Year of Return to attract more buyers, while also encouraging Ghanaians to support and promote made-in-Ghana products.
While these businesses power the informal economy, access to credit remains a major hurdle. The Microfinance and Small Loans Center, Maslock, says they are ready to support, but not without caution.
We are able to get our clients some education about bookkeeping, how to reconcile their businesses or their finances. But on the part of the client, sometimes we are not able to get into the market, how they deal with the market niche that they are operating in, needs additional, training. And maybe given the resources, the center would add those things so that it will be a continuous process.
At the 2025 MSME Day celebration and exhibition, Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofosu-Jare, announced a bill being developed to provide targeted support for MSMEs.
The ministry has established a business regulatory reform unit to coordinate and streamline certification and registration process across agencies using their digital platforms. To consolidate those efforts, a comprehensive bill is currently being developed. Once enacted, it will provide the BRI unit with a legal mandate to effectively support MSMEs in navigating regulatory requirements. This is not to say that it is not enforced and working. It is working all right, but we need a law to back the number of that agencies are supposed to respond to your calls.
The UNDP also notes that while MSMEs globally encounter comparable challenges, these can be addressed through strategic interventions.
For Ghana, the market is growing, and the government has put some bold steps to support MSMEs, and they are tackling this support from different angles. There is always such kind of access to finance available, but not enough. So we need more commercial banks to come to the forefront. We need more development funds to come forefront to support MSMEs. Similar story with the taxation, where we want to see some tax relief, some incentives for MSMEs that will help them also to grow.
The stories of Linda and Abigail remind us that with the right policies, access to finance, and skills development, our local vendors can do more than just survive. They too can grow their businesses into household brands and multi-million-dollar companies. Safwa Boahene, TV3 News.
This is News 360. Let's now bring you some sports news. Please stay with us.
Sports segment is brought to you by
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. The maiden edition of the Bazaki football tournament took place at the Kaukudi Park at Nima early on Sunday. The 10-team tournament, organized by Black Stars midfielder Mohamed Kudus in collaboration with Skechers, saw Academy XI walk home as champions after edging Legon All-Stars on penalties. A number of dignitaries graced the event, including former Ghana Football Association Communications Director Ibrahim Sani Dara, who expressed his delight with the organization of the competition.
Since 9 a.m. the guys have been out here, and you can see the number of people that have come out here. The kids, for me, it's more important than anything for them to feel inspired by what they've seen here, and for Kudus to also know that the position he has acquired today has got the opportunity to also inspire the next 10 Kuduses from the community. And from the engagement from start to finish, the talents on display is something completely praiseworthy. Some of the best players that have come out of this community have been African Footballers of the Year, Mohamed Polo. A lot of players have come out here. Even Abedi Pele played not far from here.
And so that was Ibrahim Sani Dara speaking there. Let's now do women's football, where the Black Queens were involved in a final pre-women's AFCON friendly match against rivals Nigeria. However, it wasn't close as the Nigerians raced into a 3-0 lead by the 51st minute. The Black Queens were able to pull one goal back in the second half of the friendly, but that was just about it as the match ended 3-1 in favor of the Super Falcons of Nigeria. This would be Ghana's final friendly game after wins against Malawi. That's 3-1 and then a 4-2 victory over Benin. They would now turn attention to their first Women's AFCON game when they faced South Africa, then subsequently Tanzania and Mali in the competition. Now, before we go, let's just get updates from the ongoing Club World Cup, where Paris Saint-Germain steamrolled Lionel Messi's Inter Miami by 4-0 to reach the quarterfinals of the competition. The MLS-based side hoped that the Argentine superstar's magic could help them produce an unlikely result against his former side. However, Miami were dismantled in Atlanta by Luis Enrique's rampant European champions.
PSG goes in towards the back post! And it's the Parisians that leads! It's a brilliant free.
Paris Saint-Germain, who are now in the quarterfinals of the competition and await the result of tonight's round of 16 game between Bayern Munich and Flamengo, because they would face the winner of that game in the last 8 of the Club World Cup. You can get updates on that game that starts at 8 p.m. on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
Thank you, Oreku. Let's now bring you some international news.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has confirmed he will contest next year's presidential election, setting the stage for a potential extension of his nearly 40-year rule. Museveni, who is 80 years old, announced late on Saturday that he had expressed his interest in running for the position of presidential flag bearer for the National Resistance Movement NRM party. He seized power in 1986 after a 5-year civil war and has ruled since. The National Resistance Movement has altered the constitution twice to remove term and age limits, clearing the way for Museveni to extend his tenure. Rights group accused him of using security forces and state patronage to suppress dissent and entrench his power, claims he denies. President Museveni said he seeks re-election to transform Uganda into a $500 billion economy in the next 5 years. According to government data, Uganda's current gross domestic product stands at just under $66 billion. Opposition leader Bobby Wine, a pop star turned politician whose real name is Robert Kyagulanyi, has confirmed he will run again. Bobby Wine rejected the 2021 results, alleging widespread fraud, ballot tampering and intimidation by security forces. The head of UN's nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA), Rafael Grossi, has said Iran has the capacity to start enriching uranium again for a possible bomb in a matter of months. Rafael Grossi said the U.S. strikes on 3 Iranian sites last weekend has caused severe but not total damage.
And that's it for our package. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Ayisha Yakubu. Have an amazing new week.